Greetings, Iain from RTO here. Welcome to Wednesday's marathon. And today we have got a viewer's request. It's a band that 2 or 3 of you have asked for, and here we go. We're going to be doing the Stranglers today. Now, the Stranglers are an English rock band that emerged via the punk scene way back. In 1974 they were formed. Built a following on the pub scene, and then they got their record contract and they've become very successful. Major band in the mainstream as well. That early sound though was actually driven by Jean-Jacques Burnel's bass line and some of that lovely Dave Greenfield keyboard, who's sadly no longer with us. I had a few changes. I've seen them once, and I saw them at Milton Keynes Bowl when they was on the support bill for Simple Minds. Really good concert. I enjoyed it. It was a good day all round, really, that was. So I'm going to rank them all, every album included. You know, people say, oh, you know, there's only one Stranglers, which you call now, then it went, but no, I'm doing the lot. So we've got 18 albums to go through today. So we'll get started, shall we? So coming in at number 18, we have the 14th album, released in 1998, Coup de Grace. It was the last album that featured John Ellis. So on here we've got Paul Roberts on vocals, Jean-Jacques Burnel on bass, John Ellis on guitar, the ever-present Dave Greenfield on the keyboards, and the ultimate punk rock drummer. He's been around a long time and is quite a gentleman now, Mr. Jet Black. Okay, first track on this one is called God Is Good. I find this a little bit strange because there's drum machines on this, and why do you need drum machines when you've got the excellent Jet Black on drums? This song sounds a bit more like a Depeche Mode song than a Stranglers, I'm afraid. Then the next track is called You Don't Think What You've Done Is Wrong. Yes, it is, because you've used the programming and drum machine again. It's a pop song, not a punk rock, post-punk. Absolutely not very good. Then we get a track called Tonight. I don't mind this one. It's got a nice vocal from Paul. A really good song. Jump Over My Shadow. This sounds more like the Stranglers. It's got that sound. It's got some drumming that's a little bit weak, but it's got the keyboards from Dave that really make it a sort of Stranglers sound. Then we get Miss You, which is probably my favourite track on this album. Pretty solid riffs in this, good track. Then we get Coup de Grace, SOS. I like this one as well. What I like about this one, it is Dave Greenfield's great keyboards. So sad when he passed. One of the most underrated keyboard players in the land. In the end, this isn't too bad. I like the string arrangement on there. That's pretty reasonable. No Reason, bit mediocre for me. It's not brilliant, but it's not outstanding. Known Only Unto God, not keen on this one. It's a little bit dull. You know, there's not much going on. It's a bit ploddy. Then we get The Light. Again, it's another sort of ploddy, no guts in this one. This is quite a mixed bag album. It's got some good tracks, and then the rest are not very memorable, I'm afraid. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 5 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 17, we have the 8th album released in 1984, Aural Sculpture. On here we've got Hugh Cornwell on the vocals and guitars, Jean-Jacques Burnel on the bass, Dave Greenfield and Jet Black. First track is Ice Queen. Love this track. I just love Hugh's vocal on this, and the keyboards are pretty good as well. Skin Deep. Now it's one of them 80s tracks with some horrible drum machines. It doesn't do nothing for me. Let Me Down Easy. Classic Jean-Jacques bass line with some pretty decent keyboards from Dave. No Mercy. This is an interesting one. It's got a drum machine on it again, which is not very good, but Hugh's guitar playing is pretty good on that. The only thing I can say that's good about it is Hugh's guitar work. North Winds. Yes, with quite a catchy tune. I've got nothing wrong with that one. Then we get Uptown, my favourite track on this album. Got proper drums in it, proper guitars, proper keyboards, really good. Punch and Judy, I'm not at all keen on this. This is a sound. This doesn't do anything for me. Then we get Spain. I like the harmonies in this one. The keyboard's really good, not a bad track. Laughing sounds more like a Phil Collins song to me. Don't know what they were thinking. It's got that boop, 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 boop sort of noise. Souls, that's reasonable. Mad Hatter, bit bizarre, not for me. Again, I don't know what they were thinking, to be quite honest. They're a post-punk band, punk from the punk era, and they're trying to do this poppy 80s stuff, and it just didn't work for me. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 5.5. Okay, and coming at number 16, we'll get to the 12th album now. It was released in 1995, and it's called About Time. This is the second album from the Black, Burnell, Greenfield, Roberts and Ellis lineup. It was released in 1995, as I said. We've got Paul Roberts on the lead vocals, Jean-Jacques on the bass, John Ellis on the guitars, Dave Greenfield on keyboards, Jet Black on the drums. Joining them on violin for one track is Nigel Kennedy, the violinist. Then we've got Chris Winter doing some harmonies. Gavin Wright plays violin as well. There's lots of violin on this one. And first track on here is called Golden Boy, sorry. That opening riff from John Ellis is pretty good. I like that track quite a lot. Money, I love the drumming from Jet Black. Solid as ever. Pretty good track. And then we get Face. Love the Hammond organ at the beginning of this from Dave Greenfield. Pretty good track. Sinister. Now, this is my favourite track. It's a little bit different. The keyboards really make this track. Different sort of sound, but they really do work. Little Blue Lies. Nice catchy tune. Nothing wrong with that one. Still Life. It's alright. I do like Dave Greenfield's keyboards in it though. Paradise Row, a keyboard start from Dave Greenfield, very church organ as well. So the track's not too bad, but the keyboards are outstanding. She gave it all of the guitars on this, not a bad song. Lies and Deception, one of those meandering songs, I'm afraid. Then we get Lucky Finger, my favourite one on the album. One of my favourites, sorry. It's just old style Stranglers here. Then we get And the Boat Sails By. The interplay here between John Ellis and Dave Greenfield is brilliant. Really worth listening to that one. Isn't a bad album. Like most of the Stranglers albums, they're good. They're not ones that I don't dislike at all. I just don't like some of the tracks on them. And this one on the whole is a pretty reasonable listen. And I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 5.7. Okay, then coming in at number 15, we have the 15th album. It was released in 2004, and it was the last release. It was released 6 years after their last album at the time, Coup de Grace, and it was their first official album with Baz Warne. It was the last album to feature Paul Roberts. So on here we've got Paul Roberts on lead vocals, and Jean-Jacques Burnel on bass, Baz Warne on the guitars, Dave Greenfield and Jet Black as ever. First track is the title track, Norfolk Coast. A good track, sounds very much like the old style of the Stranglers, and a very good vocal from Paul Roberts. Big Thing Coming, solid. I like the keyboards again from Mr. Greenfield, another strong track. Long Black Veil, gone back to some of their older sound and reminds me of another of their songs. That's the sort of tempo and the keyboards pretty good. Then we get I've Been Wild, great bass line from Jean-Jacques, terrific bass player, drives the song along like he does most of these songs. Dutch Moon plods along a little bit. Lost Control, this is as close as you get to old style Stranglers. It's got all them elements, the great drumming, the funky bass line and the outstanding keyboards. Pretty good track, my favourite on this one. Into the Fire, like this track as well, it is so old style Stranglers. Tucker's Grove, it's alright. That's all I'll say about that. I Don't Agree, great track, solid Stranglers stuff. San Fortacus, more of a jazzy style thing here. It doesn't really fit on the album, but it's a good track. And then Mine All Mine, one of the weaker tracks. On this album there's more of that classic sounding Stranglers. It's great to hear a few of the old style, but there are some tracks that are a little bit off the ball here. It's still a good listen though, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 14, we have their 16th album, released in 2006, and it is Sweet 16. Not a sweet 16 is in the song, but it's the suite, like the 3-piece suite. So don't get mixed up and all that. It was saw the band return to a 4-piece after the departure of Paul Roberts, with the singing shared between Baz and Jean. So we got Jet Black on the drums, Jean-Jacques Burnel bass, Dave Greenfield and Baz Warne. We've got some additional musicians. Paul Roberts actually appears as doing some percussion on track 5, and Lucy Lurie does the backing vocals on track 7. Unbroken is the first track, really good track. This is some great guitar work from Baz, solid track. Spectre of Love, my favourite track. This is certainly going back to the old days. Some lovely keyboard runs from Dave Greenfield, absolutely belter of a track. She's Slipping Away, solid track, some great guitar work from Baz. Summer, Out and Out. Hang on, start again, Ian. Summer, Out and Out. There we go. The bass line from Jean-Jacques is pretty good. A little bit shouty in the vocals, but there we go. Anything Can Happen. I like this song. It's got different textures, a little bit of atmosphere. Some good guitar work, very 60s keyboards here from Mr. Greenfield, and it's pretty good. See Me Coming, more fabulous keyboards here. As I said, it's very underrated, and the guitar work from Baz are pretty good. Then we get a track called Bless You, Save You, Spare You, Damn You. That's not a bad track actually. Don't mind that one at all. A Soldier's Diary. The keyboards again are pretty good. Really drives the song. Then we get Barbara Shangri-La. It's a very catchy tune. It's very in the vein of No More Heroes sort of thing. Pretty good. Then we get I Hate You. A little bit of rockabilly now in Johnny Cash sort of style. It's okay. And then Relentless. Love Baz Warren's guitar on this. Just very, very good. I think this is a really good album. It's certainly got that old sound coming back, and I enjoy this one. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.1. Time for a drink. Okay then, coming in at number 13. This may shock a lot of people, but I do shock people now and again. It's the 7th album released in 1983, and it is Feline. This has got Hugh Cornwell, John, Jax Burnell, Dave Greenfield and Jet Black. Midnight Summer Dream, I mean. I've never been keen on this one. It is dull as they come. It's just boring. It's a Small World, solid enough track. Don't mind that one. Ships That Pass in the Night. Love the Jean Jacques bass line in this. Pretty solid. European Female in celebration of one of the hits, one of the singles, and I've never been a fan of it. Let's Tango in Paris. I love this track. We've got some great drumming from Jet Black, and of course the keyboards from Dave are fantastic. Paradise, don't mind this track, sounds solid. All Roads Lead to Rome, it's alright, it's catchy. Blue Sister, it's got some good guitar work from Hugh on this. And then get Never Say Goodbye, catchy tune, one of the better tracks. Now personally, I never saw why that people think this is one of their best albums. It's okay. I don't dislike it, but I don't see what all the rave was about it. I don't consider it a classic, but we all hear things differently. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6.3. Okay, then coming in at number 12, we have the 17th album, 2012's Giants. So it's Jean-Jacques Burnel, Dave Greenfield, Baz Warren. So we got a first track called Another Camden Afternoon. Love this track. It's a great instrumental. I love the guitar work from Baz on this, and the interplay with Dave on the keyboards is pretty good. Then we get Freedom Is Insane, solid track. Love the guitar work from Baz Warren on this, excellent. Giants has got a great Jean-Jacques Burnel masterpiece of bass, really drives the song. Lowlands, it's got a nice beat to it, it's nothing special. Boom Boom, a bit mediocre, not very memorable. My Fickle Resolve, I like this one. Now it's more of a jazzy sound, but it's really, really good. The drumming is from Jet is fantastic. Time Was Once on My Side, nothing wrong with this, it's just not very memorable. Mercury Rising, solid track again. Adios Tango, it's a little bit lacklustre on that. And then 15 Steps, love the keyboards again. It's just a pleasant track, but the keyboards make it very, very good. There's nothing wrong with this album again. There's just some really memorable tracks on it. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.4. Okay, then coming in at number 11, we got the 10th album, that's called 10, released in 1990, and it was the last to feature Hugh Cornwell, of course. So it's Hugh, Jean-Jacques, Dave Greenfield and Jet Black. First track on here is Sweet Smell of Success. This is more of an In Excess style track, and I do love the guitar work from Hugh. Excellent track. Someone Like You. Again, we've got that signature Dave Greenfield keyboard. That lovely bass from Jean-Jacques. Solid. 96 Tears. Okay, this is my favourite track on here. Okay, of course it's a song done by the Mr. Ains from 1966, but I like the version of it, and I think this is just a little bit better than the original. It's a really good track. In This Place, solid enough track, nothing wrong with that one. Let's Celebrate, got some lovely horns on this, some nice guitar work from Hugh, solid enough. Man of the Earth, it's alright, bit mediocre. Too Many Teardrops. Electronic drums, no, don't want that, but the keyboard work is brilliant. Where I Live, like that track, solid sounding one. Out of My Mind, one of the weaker tracks on here. It's got a nice bass line, but that's all I can say. Never Look Back, again, it's one of them not outstanding songs, but it's pleasant enough to listen to. It's a reasonable album. The best, but when you say the best track on here is a cover, it's a little bit of lack of direction on this one. I don't know if there's some behind the scenes tantrums going on. But I should give it an RTO ranking of 6.5. Right, we've reached the top 10. So, coming in at number 10, we have the 13th album from 1997, Written in Red. This has got Paul Roberts on the lead guitar, Jean-Jacques Burnel on the bass, John Ellis guitars, and Dave Greenfield and Jet Black. First track, Valley of the Birds. Very good track. Love Paul's vocals on this. He was one that really did. He was very close to Hugh Cornwell's style of singing, and some great keyboards, some Dave Greenfield as ever. In Heaven She Walks, solid track. Some nice backing vocals here from Jean-Jacques. Solid drumming from Jet Black. In a While, one of the tracks I'm not keen on. It's a little bit weak for me. Then we get Silver into Blue, the best track on the album. Some of the best guitar work from John Ellis. Solid track. Blue Sky, very interesting drum on here from Jet Black. It's quite industrial sounding, and it's got a really good keyboard run as ever. Then we get a track called Here, very eerie. Some of the guitar work from John Ellis is awesome on this, and it's a really good drum line from Jet. Joy de Vida, the signature keyboards of Dave Greenfield on that. I just love his style of playing keyboards. Miss You definitely harks back to the old days. Great guitar whiffs here from John. Great vocal from Paul. Daddy's Riding the Range, very solid. Summer in the City. Yes, we talked about the great version of this, the original version of it, on Monday by the Loving Spoonful. But this, you don't want to never hear this. I never play this. I think I played it once or twice. I played it again when I listened to this to do this ranking, and I got about a minute into it and I said, no, I can't be doing with it. It's probably the worst version of that song I've ever heard. Apart from that last track, it's a solid album all the way through. Some tracks are a little bit mediocre, but it doesn't spoil your listening. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.8. Okay, then, coming in at number 9, we have the 9th album. This was released in 1986, and it's called Dreamtime. So on here we've got Hugh Cornwell, Jean-Jacques Burnel, Dave Greenfield, Jet Black, extra people on this one. We've got Alex Gifford on the saxophone, Hilary Copps on trumpet, and Martin Vasey on trumpet. We've got B.J. Cole on the pedal steel, and Simon Morton does some extra percussion. So the first track, Always the Sun. Love this song. I think it's one of my favourite songs by the Stranglers. You got that lovely keyboard from Dave Greenfield, a great vocal from Hugh, strong song. Dreamtime. This is quite funky. It's got a really funky bass line from Jean-Jacques, but it's alright. Was It You? Mid-80s sort of sound. That new wavy thing. Hugh's vocals pretty good. You always reap what you sow. I love this. I think I love the pedal steel from BJ Cole on this. It's a really good track, my favourite on the album. Ghost Train, very 80s, you can tell with some of that, the keyboard sound. It's alright. Nice and nice, quite catchy track, like that one. Big in America, a bit different, but I do like Dave Greenfield's keyboards in this. Shaking Like a Leaf, again, very catchy hooks in this. Another single with horns. I expect Suggs to sing instead of Hugh. It's got that madness feel to it. May and Skies, I think this is a little bit too 80s for me, and I'm not keen on that one. Too Precious, not the best on the album either. One of those mid-80s albums that's not too bad. You know, it's an album of the time. It's got some good tracks on it though, so I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 8, we have the 5th album. The Gospel According to the Men in Black. It's the classic lineup of Hugh, Dave, Jean-Jacques and Jet. Opens up with my favourite track ever by the Stranglers. It's Waltz in Black. Okay, it's an instrumental, but it is so catchy and funny. The reason I really love this, one of my other hobbies is cooking, and I've always loved cooking programs, and this is the theme tune to one of the cooks that really got me into cooking, believe it or not, Mr. Keith Floyd. And this is the instrument music he used to use. I just love how he used to them cooking programs. He got the camera right into thing, and that track's always been my favourite. And well, I just love it. Okay, next track, Just Nothing on Earth. Great track. It's one of them weird tracks, but it's really good. Second coming. I just love these sounds they got on this album. The keyboards are fantastic. Solid track. Waiting for the Men in Black. Interesting beat on this. Pretty good again. Then we get another instrumental called Turn the Centuries. I think the instrumentals on this are probably the best tracks, believe it or not. And I love this one as well. Really, really good. I think it's just a variation on the Walls in Blackness. It's pretty good. And then we get Two Sunspots. I love the keyboard on this. Sounds like it's being played on a Casio. You remember that track Trio Da Da Da? That's played on a Casio, and it's got that sort of sound to it. Four Horsemen. Love the bass line from Jean-Jacques. That lovely keyboard from Dave again. Excellent track. Thrown Away. It's got some drum machine on this. It's alright. I do like Dave's keyboards in it though. Mana Machine. Very experimental. Not my thing. Hello to Our Men. Don't mind this side. It's got a really catchy tune. And electronic. It just doesn't... I don't know what's going on there. I think this is a mixed bag. The instrumentals on here are pretty good. A lot of experimentation in the early 80s. And I'll give this one an RTO ranking of 7.2. Okay then, coming in at number 7 is the 18th and most current album, released in 2021. And it's the last time we hear the dulcet tones of Dave Greenfield. They recorded this and then he died before they released it, and it was the first drummer without Jet Black as well, who retired from the band in 2015, and I didn't realise how old he actually was. I mean, he's in his 80s I think now. And it's Dark Matters. So we got Jean-Jacques Burnel on bass and vocals, Dave Greenfield on the keyboards, Baz Wall on guitars and vocals, Jim McCauley on drums. First track on here is Water. This is a solid track. Really good. Great bass line. Burnell is singing as well, and it's pretty good. This song, another solid song. I love Dave Greenfield's keyboards in this. Really, really wonderful. Then we got a track called And If You Should See Dave. One of the more gentler tracks on the album. It's pretty good, and I like the bells and the acoustic guitar in this. Then the next track, If Someone Is Gonna Kill Me, it might as well be Love. Hang on, I'll start that again. If Something's Gonna Kill Me, it might well as be Love. One of the gentler tracks on this, and lovely trumpet on this, which goes back to the good old days. And No Man's Land, classic bass line here from Jean-Jacques, good vocal as well. Then we get a little short thing called The Lines. It's some nice acoustic guitar from Baz, pretty good. Payday, solid sound. Sounds like a proper Stranglers track from the good old days. Then we get down another slow track, but really good, nice piano work here. Then we get my favourite track called The Last Men on the Moon. It's got that distinctive keyboards from Dave Greenfield that really makes it. White Stallion, another of those distinctive bass lines from Jean-Jacques, good track. Breathe, really interesting. I like the gentleness, but it's got a really nice melody, and I love Baz's guitar work in this. A really good album, probably their best album for a long time. I really enjoy this one, so I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 7.4. Okay, then coming in at number 6, we go to that third album from 1978, Black and White. So we've got Hugh on it, Jean-Jacques, Dave Greenfield, Jet Black on the drums, and Hona Cambler on the electric piano on one track. Tank is the opening track. Love this track. Great keyboard from Dave, some great guitar work from Hugh. Superb song. Nice and Sleazy, my favourite track on here, one of my top 10 tracks. It's that bass line from Jean-Jacques that really drives the song. You get them great little bits of guitar from Hugh, some little stabs of the keyboard from Dave Greenfield, brilliant. Outside Tokyo, now this is so catchy. It's that keyboard and drums that really gets you hooked into it. It's a really good track. Then we get Mean to Me, great little punk track, absolutely brilliant. It's only 2 minutes long, but it's got all the elements that you like. Brilliant stuff. Then we get Sweden, All Quiet on the Eastern Front. Great bass line from Jean-Jacques, and more great keyboards from Dave. Hey, Rise of Robots. It's one of these weird punk tracks with lots of keyboard on it. It's really, really good. Toilet of the Sea, another brilliant track. I like the keyboards. I love that funky sound to it. Curfew, probably some of the best keyboards from Dave on this one. Wonderful, that sound he got, terrific. Threatened, solid track, some great guitar work from Hugh on that one. Do You Wanna, another solid track, great guitar work again. Death and Night and Blood, solid track. I love the bass line on this, it really drives the song again. In the Shadows, I love the interplay on this one between Hugh and Jean-Jacques. Really good, them two working together. Enough Time, the guitar riff is brilliant on this at the start, and then the bass line sort of overtakes, and then the little bits of keyboard on that is solid. This is a solid album. Some great bass lines from Jean-Jacques. Like this one, don't get tired of listening to this album. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay, then coming in at number 5, we have the fourth album released in 1979, The Raven. So it's the classic lineup: Hugh, Jean-Jacques, Dave and Jet. You get a very short instrumental called Long Ships, but it has got some magnificent keyboard. That goes nicely into the title track, The Raven. I love the bass line from Jean-Jacques on this. Really good keyboards again from Dave. Then we get my favourite track on this album. Again, top 10 for me. Songs Dead Los Angeles. The bass line is just fantastic. And that great vocal from Hugh. Ice. Now this is a little bit weird. The keyboard seems to be in a different key to the rest of it, but it's okay. It really works. I like that track. Then Baroque Bordello. I find this a little bit strange. Probably my least favourite track on this one. Nuclear Device, The Wizard of Oz. The bass line drives this song from Jean-Jacques. Again, then you get the interplay with the keyboards from Dave. Solid track. Then we get Sha Sha A Go Go. Classic Stranglers this is. The great bass line, the incredible drumming, the great vocal, great keyboards. Don't Bring Harry. This is a very quiet one. And I think this is some of Hugh's nicest guitar work he did. And he's got a very eerie vocal on this one. Duchess, love this track. Been one of my favourites for ages. Yeah, what more can you say about that one? Meninblack, weird, nice, eerie. Don't know what about it. And then Genetics. All these crazy combinations of sound that come together. I don't know how they did it, but normally I'd say it's 15 musicians all doing their own thing. They're all doing their own thing, but it all seems to work. A really good album here. Lots of experimental stuff on it, but it really works. And I love this album. Got quite a soft spot for it. And I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.6. Okay then, coming in at number 4. We got the 11th album, released in 1992. Stranglers in the Night. This is the first appearance of Paul Roberts on vocals and John Ellis on guitar. So it's Paul Roberts on vocals, Jean-Jacques on bass and vocals, John Ellis on guitar, Dave Greenfield and Jet Black. Time to Die. Love John Ellis's guitar on this. That bass line as well from Jean-Jacques. Good vocal from Paul. Really good track. Sugar Bullets. Love this track. It just sounds like proper Stranglers still. Excellent track. A Heaven or Hell. The guitar solo from John Ellis on this is pretty good. One of my favourite tracks on the album. Laughing at the Rain. You got this electronic funky bass line here and some great guitar riffs. This Town. One of Paul's actually best vocals I think he ever did. It's a really good song. Brainbox, interesting track. The vocal is a bit out there, and a cheesy keyboard line. Southern Mountains, solid track. Love the beat of this, very catchy tune. A lot of Stranglers tracks are really got a catchy hook to it. Gain Entry to Your Soul, not my cup of tea. I'm not very keen on that. Grand Canyon, a little bit different again. You know, new singer, new guitarist, try a few things out. It's got some nice guitars and drums on it. Wet Afternoon, I adore this track. I love the guitar solo on it. It's really funky, and that's probably why I like it. Never See, definitely a weak track. It's a bit poppy disco here. Don't want to see this on these sort of albums. Then we get Leave It to the Dogs, classic Jean-Jacques bass line. Some nice harmonies on this, solid track. Apart from a couple of tracks on this, this is my favourite album without Hugh Cornwell on it. And I think Paul Roberts did a sterling job job on this one. It's got some really strong songs, and I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.8. Okay, as ever, when it comes to the top 3 of a band like this, very hard, because I love these 3 albums with the same affection. So we're going to do it like this today. I did alter it once, and I kept going back, and I thought, no, I'm going to leave it. So coming in at number 3, we got the debut album from 1977, Rattus Norvegicus. So it's Hugh, Jean-Jacques, Dave Greenfield, Hannah Clamber on the electric piano again, doing some and Moogie synthesizers, and Jet Black on the percussion. So the first track is Sometimes. Oh, I love this. Classic sounding, great keyboard sound, wonderful bass line of Jean-Jacques, and that gravelly sort of voice from Hugh on that track. Pretty good. Goodbye to Lose, classic track. Love the guitar work from Hugh Cornwell on that. Really, really good. Then we get London Lady. The rawness of it. Oh, the bass is so brilliant. Princes of the Streets, one of my favourite tracks on here. The bass line from Jean-Jacques is absolutely stunning. Really, you can actually physically see him driving them strings, and a great guitar work from Hugh as ever on this one. Then we get Hanging Around, great bass line again, that distinctive Dave Greenfield keyboards. Next track, Peaches, classic. Maybe a big single, but it's one of my favourite songs. Love the bass line. Then we get a Grip on Yourself. All sorts going on here, some mini moogs and bass lines and great drumming. Ugly, great vocal from Hugh, fantastic. And then we get the nearest thing they got to doing prog, and it's Down in the Sewer. Just an absolutely brilliant song. There's just something about this song. I like the medley, the melody I set, and then you get some great keyboards, and it just flows wonderful. Really great way to end the track. To end the album, sorry. Great debut this is, not a bad track on this one. Some of the key work from Dave Greenfield is just stunning. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay, then coming in number 2, go to the 6th album, released in 1981, La Folie. Classic lineup, Hugh, Dave, Jean-Jacques, Jet Black. Starts off with Non-Stop. One of my favourite starts to any Stranglers record. It's my favourite on the album as well. It's the drumming from Jet. Then you get Dave coming on the keyboards. It's just a brilliant track. Absolutely stunning stuff. Then we get Everybody Loves You When You're Dead. Very similar start to Non-Stop. It's just a classic song from the band. Tramp. Love the combination here of that bass and guitar working well together. Solid stuff. Let Me Introduce You to the Family. Again, it's just solid drumming. That bass line comes in. Just can't get any better than that. I Ain't Nothing to It. One of them sort of speaky vocals, which I'm not particularly fond of, but I do actually like this one. Solid track. The Man They Hate, the Man They Love to Hate. Great drumming. This is This is a song that's very late 60s. Really good keyboard. Pin-up. Certainly of the song of its time. Pretty good. It Only Takes Two to Tango. Another little quirky track. The drumming on it from Jet is brilliant. Some of his best drumming on this album. Then we get Golden Brown. Now, when I first heard this, I thought, oh, I like this. This is catchy. But unfortunately, it's one of them songs that when people say, oh, I love the Stranglers, my favourite track's Golden Brown Moments, you go, really? And these days, if I never hear this again, I will not be upset. You know, it's a treble. When I hear these sort of songs like this for the first time, I think these are really good, but then it gets played to death and death. It's a shame, because proper fans do get bored of songs, and that is one of them that I do. Then the next track, How to Find True Love and Happiness in the Present Day. I find it a little bit irritating, but some good keyboards on it. And then the title track, La Folie. I do love Hugh's vocal on this. He's so suited this sort of sound. It's brilliant. Apart from a couple of tracks on there, I do love every track on this album, and I'll play this a lot. If it weren't for the the tracks I'm not keen on, I think this probably would be my #1 album. But it's because them 2 tracks that really get on my nerves now. So I'm going to still give this one an RTO ranking of 8.3. So, my #1. I think this is probably my #1 because it's the first sort of stuff I heard from the Stranglers. It's the second album, released in 1977, and it's No More Heroes. Hugh Cornwell, Dave Greenfield, Honor Clambert, Jet Black, and Jean-Jacques. Now, the first track, I'm not even going to say what it's called. I'll put it up on the screen in a form that doesn't offend. I think it's a great track. That's the only thing. It's a shame. You could never play this now. But it's just that classic sounding Stranglers. Great keyboards in this. It's just a shame we can't. So I'm not going to say what it's called. Second track, Bitchin'. Love this. Great opening. The bass is brilliant, and a great vocal from Hugh. It's just an amazing track. Dead Ringer. Start off with a thumping bass line from Jean-Jacques. Hugh's great riffs, that stylish keyboard, brilliant stuff. Then we get Dagenham Dave. I love this. It's quirky, it's catchy. The bass and keyboards are solid in this one. It's an amazing track. Bring On the Newbies. Very short song, but Hugh's vocal is really good. It's very, very catchy track again. Something Better Change. I think this is some of Hugh's best guitar work ever. Absolutely belting, really brilliant. Then we get the title track. No More Heroes. This is the very first track I ever heard by the Stranglers, and what I loved about it was that really hooky bass at the beginning. It's even better live, this that bass line from Jean-Jacques. This is where my journey with the Stranglers started. It's my second favourite song by the Stranglers. It's just a classic. And then my favourite title of a song by the Stranglers, it's called Pleasant in the Big Shitty. I love the vocal in here. It's absolutely creepy and strange, but the keyboards are just brilliant. Dave Greenfield. Burning Up Time. again, it's just got some memorable keyboard runs from Dave Greenfield. It's just terrific. English towns dominated by the keyboards again, and that bass line. That keyboards gives it that extra layer and makes it a fantastic track. And then we got Schoolman, my second favourite track on here. I just think this track is the, if you say what are Stranglers, you got to listen to this. This defines that sound, because it's hard to explain it, but put this on, it's got everything, that the oozy bass line, the quirky keyboards, the tightness and the drumming, the guitar work is just immaculate, and the vocal from Hugh is just amazing. Now, the reason I really love this album, it is Dave Greenfield's keyboards. I think if it wasn't for the keyboards, this would be a little bit flatter. But the keyboards really are fantastic on this. Some of Dave Greenfield's best. Again, you've got a great bass line from Jean-Jacques on these tracks. Some of the best he's ever done in the band. This is a solid album from top to bottom. Love everything about it. Love the cover. Love it. I just love everything about this album, and I'll play this one hell of a lot. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. So there we go. The Stranglers. I think at some stage probably later next year, we'll look at their live stuff, because they're a pretty damn good live band as well. So that's all for today, because this is always a long one. It takes forever to render and what have you. But we'll be back tomorrow, and tomorrow, what have I got for you? Got an interesting battle of the debuts tomorrow. We've got two American bands, both that I really like. Got the Eagles, and what people call the poor man's Eagles, Bread. So I'll be putting their two albums up against each other. And tomorrow's artwork, we're going to be looking at the studio albums of the mighty UFO. Not doing all the album covers, because there's about 50,000. Well, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but there's quite a lot. So we'll just concentrate on them great studio albums. And also, don't forget, tomorrow night